Alright guys, it's back to history again, and today we are going to continue on Sec 3 history for the outbreak of World War II in Europe. Okay, just a quick recap. What day did World War II begin in Europe? The answer, as you know, should be 3rd September 1939. Okay, so we are looking at 1939, and we are looking at the period going up to that. Okay, and remember, when we are looking at this chapter, we are trying to figure out why World War II broke out. So the keyword here is reasons, and there are three main reasons. One of them is the League of Nations. It was supposed to be a peacekeeping force, but it was not able to stop World War II from breaking out. So you have to know why that's the case, and we have already covered that. We also going to look at Hitler's expansionist policy. Remember, expansionist, here we are speaking of aggressive expansionism, and though we say Hitler, it does refer to the actions of Nazi Germany. We have covered half of it already. So far we have looked at how Hitler was building up Germany's military capacity. Before now, in this lesson, we are going to look at how that military capacity was actually used to expand. And finally, the last point is the policy of appeasement, which we will look at in the last lesson of this series. So here we are. We have already covered the fact that Hitler withdrew from the League. He militarized Germany. Remember, remilitarization, rearmament. He was building up the industry. Okay, remember that this is tied to Hitler's economic expansion. Remember the 4-year plan. Alright, all this is just recap. You should know this. And he also got involved in the Spanish Civil War. Remember, what does he gain from that? He gains military experience. Okay, so this is what we're going to look at today. Reunification of Austria, invasion of Czechoslovakia, Nazi-Soviet Nonaggression Pact, and invasion of Poland. Okay, what we can see, there is a trend here. We are going reunify, then we are going invade and invade again. Okay, there is obviously expansion over here, and that is what we want to look at. Just a recap, this is where we are at. We have done this, we have done this, we have done this. We are roughly here in terms of the timeline, March 1938. We have studied about 20 years of European history so far. Let's have a look at what's going to happen next. Okay. Before we start, if you need this, you can always open up Google Maps and have a look. Let me just point out the major players that we are going to be talking about in this chapter. We are obviously talking about Germany. By the way, this is modern day Germany, okay? We also want to pay attention to Austria. Poland is over here. And here we have Czechoslovakia, or at least what used to be Czechoslovakia. You can see that here it is Czechia and Slovakia. That is because the nation split into two as a result of self-determination, if I am not wrong, sometime after the Cold War ended. Okay, so what we are going to see is that German territory will expand, expand, and expand. Okay. So let's have a look at the German unification of Austria first. Remember, in World War I, Austria was the one who got Germany into the war. Germany was actually going to help Austria. Okay, that is because culturally, Germany and Austria are relatively similar. They speak the same language, and yes, there are differences in the culture, but generally they have this Central European culture, okay, Central Western European culture. Okay, so but if we think about it, remember, Nazi Germany is not like any other self-respecting country. They have Adolf Hitler, and all of them are deeply invested in the Nazi ideology. Okay. And remember that one of Hitler's aims is a greater Germany. Remember, he wants to make Germany great again because he was part of the shame of World War I. Okay? And so he is wanting to unify all the German-speaking peoples. So Austria is part of this. So to Hitler, it's very simple. You speak German, you should be part of Germany. Of course, the problem is that German territory, oh dear, there's a typo, please erase the Y. The Treaty of Versailles, we remember, does not allow Germany to expand. This is a problem. So what does Hitler do? Hitler finds a way around this problem and says that instead of expanding, we are unifying. Okay, and the technical term we want to use is Anschluss. Anschluss is a German word for political union. Okay, so what Hitler does is that he goes and gets the Nazis. Okay, those who believe in Nazism and live in Austria, these are Austrian Nazis. Okay, to pressure the government to say, hey, we should, reunite with Germany. They are the people of our same blood. We have the same culture. We should be one. Okay. Do not think that. Okay. Normally, there might be some confusion here. Normally, when we speak of Nazis, we are referring to those who were in Germany during World War II. However, the Nazi ideology is still thankfully it's very small, but there are people in the world today, for some reason or other, subscribe to Nazism. These people, we call them neo-Nazis, that is to say, neo-Nazis. And they are obviously very, very messed up. Okay? So anyway, here's the situation. The situation is Hitler is telling the Nazis in Germany, right? Nazis in Austria. They're saying, hey, you should come and reunify. So what he does is that he calls up the Austrian Chancellor, who is basically his counterpart, and he says, hey guys, hey Kurt, the Austrian Chancellor is Kurt Schuschnigg. He says, hey, you should have a vote, maybe your people want to reunify. Okay? If you look at the textbook, there's this very interesting picture of the Austrian women saluting as the German troops roll into town. But we do take note that what did Hitler do? He sent German troops. He said, oh no, in case your people are rioting, I can help you to keep the peace, make sure that nothing goes wrong. However, if you are an Austrian citizen and you are going to cast your vote to whether or not you want to reunify with Germany, and you see a bunch of Nazi soldiers standing around the voting booth, what are you going to vote? Okay? There's a threat, right? There is fear. And furthermore, even if you wanted to vote against them, if you are at the voting booth and let's say you're in charge and the soldiers are there, what are you going to do? What if the soldiers just take it from you? Okay, we have no proof, but if we look at the results, 99.75% of the population voted for Anschluss. What is that? Okay, there is nothing in this world, right, where people will ever vote unanimously. They will all agree on something. Okay, so obviously this statistical result, something is wrong with it. Clearly, it is proof that there was some kind of German Nazi manipulation of this result. Okay. However, the effect is that they still managed to reunify, and when you reunify, you gain more access to Austrian gold and iron. And why specifically gold and iron? Because it is essential for the war effort. So in terms of expansion, there is an economic impact. It allows me to continue my war effort. Okay. At the same time, we know that it is a violation of the Treaty of Versailles. Blatant means obvious. Okay. It's blatant disregard. It's basically saying to the Treaty of Versailles, I don't care. Okay. However, why didn't the members of the treaty, why didn't the League of Nations stop them? Okay, we already know. At the same time, the major Western powers, when we talk about the allies, guys, we are talking about Britain and France. Later on, the USA. Okay, they didn't stop German aggression. Curb means to reduce, right? Why? Okay, this is the question that I need you all to think about. Why didn't they want to stop it? Okay, so now let's go on. Okay, the second thing that Hitler does is that he wants to take Czechoslovakia. If you look at the map, this area here, it says the land lost to Czechoslovakia in 1990. This was a result of what? Of the Treaty of Versailles, right? They said that they lost some land, they had to give it back. Okay, so this is what Hitler next set his sights on. Same thing, if you read the slide, it says that the German-speaking Czechs, those who are influenced by Nazi ideology, so on and so forth, he said, hey, let us go back to Germany, all right? And Hitler, of course, says, if you don't let them go, I will go to war. Okay, the Sudetenland is the part of Germany which I highlighted the part of Czechoslovakia which I highlighted just now. This is the area which was given to area that was taken during TOV by the TOV. Okay. Basically, Hitler is saying, I will go to war. If you look at this, Hitler is threatening to go to war. This is obvious aggression. Okay? And if you are another world leader, you'll be thinking, oh my. Okay? So, we see something like this. Britain, France, and Soviet Union. Okay, you see, they're supposed to defend Czechoslovakia from Germany. These are my great powers. They are supposed to defend Czechoslovakia, but they didn't. The question is why? Why did they simply just give control to Hitler? Maybe because they don't want to fight, and because they're not able to contest this against Hitler now. Okay? So Hitler knows, when Hitler sees this, right, he starts to understand that nobody is going to stop him. Think of it like a little child who's going swimming for the first time. Okay? And when you're a small kid, when you go swimming, you look at the water and you think, oh, this is dangerous. It's a bit cold. So you go in and you stick your toe into the water and you realize, hey, it's okay. It's not that cold. There's no sharks coming to eat me. So what do? You stick your whole foot in, right? Until maybe, you step in until you're like knee deep in the water and you realize, hey, nothing's happening yet. I could go a bit further into the water and maybe nothing else will happen. So it's testing the water, right? You check and check and check and check. Then it comes to a point where you continue submerging yourself deeper and deeper. And this is a good analogy to understand what Hitler is doing. When he expanded, he's slowly expanding. Now he reunified Austria, and now nobody is stopping him when he threatens to attack Czechoslovakia. What does he do? He just takes the whole of Czechoslovakia. Okay, look at the textbook. So when he annexed it, it's basically saying that Czechoslovakia is now part of the Nazi territory. Okay, and of course he gets more resources. Okay, however, the important thing about this example is that the Allies did not defend Czechoslovakia. Why? In fact, they signed this thing called the Munich Agreement, which is what you can use as evidence, is useful evidence, and they said that I will give in to Hitler. Why? Because they did not want to risk all-out war. Britain and France are thinking, no war, no war. Okay? So what will this do? Okay, if you were in Hitler's position, how would you interpret the Munich Agreement? Okay, so to Hitler, if you look at the third point here, it means that the Munich Agreement basically says that, hey, if I continue to expand, nobody is going to stop me. Okay, so that is the message that is being sent to Hitler. Okay, so obviously this will only encourage Hitler to become even more aggressive. Okay, so you can write the cause and effect. So Hitler's invasion was met with no resistance. Okay, so Hitler believes Hitler saw Munich Agreement as what? As proof Allies would not stop him, right? So because of that, as a result, he becomes more daring, becomes bolder, and therefore it encourages his aggression. And why is encourages aggression important? Because we know that this will eventually lead to the start of the war. Okay, so that is how we construct our cause and effect. Alright, and now we have this thing called the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact. Okay, non-aggression basically means we don't fight, correct? The Soviets are the Russians, the USSR. Okay, so if you look at this, Germany is here and the USSR is here. In the middle, we have this country of Poland, which is the most invaded piece of real estate in Western Europe. Well, you could say that Poland is in Eastern Europe, in Central Europe, all right? And Hitler and Stalin, even though they have opposing ideologies, okay, the communists don't like the Nazis and the Nazis don't like the communists. Both of them are, shall we say, not the best of world leaders, and they decided to split up Poland. So basically, the deal was, when Germany invades Poland, the USSR will not do anything to stop them. In fact, the USSR will take the other half. Okay, and they will not attack each other. Okay, now why did Hitler do this? Okay, if you think about it, look at this again. France is on this side, the UK is on this side. If Germany attacks at the same time, they will be under threat from both the UK and France and the USSR. But by signing this treaty, the effect, is that the USSR will not attack Germany. Germany only needs to fight the war on one side. Okay, that is why he did not have to fight a war onto France. Okay. So if you think about it, the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact is a marriage of convenience. Both sides are doing it because it benefits themselves. Okay. Later on, Hitler will invade the USSR in a terrible move. We will look at it in the next chapter. So we have this situation now, right? It is now August 1939, okay? And we have Hitler expanding. He has Austria, he has Czechoslovakia. He knows that the Soviets will not attack him. And now he looks at the city of Danzig, okay, in the country of Poland. And basically Hitler is saying, hey, you need to give me back all these German-speaking cities, okay? And he said that it must be returned to Germany, Danzig, okay, it's a German city. He's saying that all this territory that you took away in the Treaty of Versailles, okay, the Polish corridor, this is the territory taken away from Germany. After World War I. He said, give me back. But they didn't. Okay, so the British and French, they're sort of representing, they are the leaders of so-called the democratic world, right? And they're negotiating with Hitler, but Hitler at this point just wants to get his way. He believes that nobody will stop him. Okay, so when the negotiations failed, he invaded Poland on 1st September 1939. Okay, so at this point where German tanks rolled over the border into Poland, you know that there's no two ways about it. That is when on 3rd September, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Okay, so that is when war is declared. Now, if you cannot remember 1st or 3rd September, you just remember September 1939. Okay, this one must memorize. So obviously, we already know what Hitler is doing. We can see a pattern. He just wants to continue to expand, right? That is why this point is called the expansionist policy of Hitler. And we know that he's not stopping. So if you think about it, Hitler's invasion of Poland, this is the trigger. This is the trigger event that causes World War II to break out. Okay? Obviously sparks of World War II, but I would caution you against saying that the invasion of Poland caused World War II to break out. If you say that, it seems to say that nothing else mattered. Okay? In fact, I would say something like the invasion of Poland was the tipping point. Okay, if you think about it, it's like if you are filling a glass of water and then you pour, and then you pour just a little too much and then it overflows. Okay, that is something like what I think the invasion of Poland is like. So, of course, that will cause World War II to break out. In the next chapter, we will look at what the major powers did. But this is really the question. Why didn't the major powers stop him? Hitler is obviously a threat. Why didn't they stop him? Okay, at this point, I would like you to just scribble down on your notes some thoughts. Why didn't they stop him? Okay, and then we will look at it in the next lesson. remember to always take a moment to stop. Okay, this is the end, but you should stop. You should consolidate. Have a look at what are the things that things you don't know, things you are not sure of. Okay, or questions that you still have. You can. What I like to do is I like to take a small post-it note, just scribble these things down, stick it on my notes, so that I can come back to them, or I can ask my friend, I can check the textbook, or you can ask me. All right, and this is how you help yourself to learn. So once you are done, then you can take off the post-it. Once you know you have no post-its on your notes, it means that yes, I do know my notes. All right, so hopefully that small study tip helps you. Okay. So I will see you when you come back to school. Meanwhile, make sure you watch the last chapter.